Bonjour les amis, bienvenue sur ma chaîne, or should I say, hello friends and welcome to my channel. In this video, I will build the French fighter jet and attack aircraft, the Dassault Mirage F1. For this build, I chose the 1:72 scale Revell kit. This 2020 release is a rebox of the 1983 Hasegawa kit with new decals and camouflages. The moldings look very good. They include lots of nice spanline details of the fuselage, landing gear shaft and wings. These particular moldings are also available in the special hobby kits. The kit also includes parts for more than one version of the aircraft. The choice of weapons is rich. It contains 2 mid-range Super 530D air-to-air missiles, 6 infrared Matra Magics, 2 laser-guided bombs, 3 large fuel tanks and ECM containers. The clear parts are amazing. There are no visible bursts or scratches. The colorful instruction manual is very helpful and includes 2 beautiful camouflages. And the decals also look amazing. I wonder if they are good quality. I will soon find out. I'm super excited. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell for not missing any new notifications. Okay, let's get started. The cockpit assembly is very easy and quick. It includes only 11 pieces. For this project, I will use only scratch build upgrades like tiny plastic panels, masking tape and metal wires. For a strong bond, I used glues for plastic like Mr. Cement and Revell Contactor. The most scratch build work is on the Martin Baker Mark 10 ejection seat. I made the seat belts from masking tape, ejection handles from wires and other details from photo etched leftovers. There are visible molding holes on the inner side of the fuselage. I rather fill them up with putty and sand it down with sandpaper. After sanding, the cockpit parts are ready for painting. The cockpit is painted with various colors. Most of it are black or anthracite shades. Now I paint all the small details with a thin paintbrush. The ejection seat is very colorful. It took me about an hour to complete its paint job. After painting, I seal all cockpit parts with a layer of Mr. Color GX100 Super Clear Varnish. For highlighting panel lines and shades, I use the Tamiya's accent color black and grey washes. The black one is used on the pale and colorful surfaces, and the grey one on the black surfaces. The wash can be removed in the emerald thinner. The kit's decal sheet also includes nice decals of the instrument panel, so I will use them. It doesn't look that bad for a decal. What do you think? Now I seal the cockpit with a matte varnish and work on the Snecma ATA jet engine nozzle. The engine parts and nozzle are painted with a burnt iron color and sealed off with a clear varnish. For the engine weathering, I use a dark wash from MIG Production. dark wash consistency is thicker, and after wiping out, it leaves a good coverage in panels. Now I assemble the jet nozzle parts together and also assemble the cockpit. Finally, I can start to put the fuselage together. First, I glue the front landing gear shaft and the jet nozzle. Then, I glue the cockpit in place. To maintain a proper fit, I use modeling clamps from Revell. Next, I glue the two big air brakes and air intakes. The next step is the wings assembly. For attaching, I use Revell contactor glue and again Revell modeling clamps. I decided to have more weapons on my Mirage fighter. That's why I added missile hardpoints on the wingtips. Next, I glue the wings and vertical stabilizers in place. I don't know if the model will stand without a front weight, but to be sure, I put some in the radar cone. Before gluing the front canopy section, I glued the heads-up display and painted it with a diluted bright green color. Now I glue the canopy to the fuselage and mask it with masking tape. After masking, I cover all clear parts with Mick Jimenez liquid mask. For a nice and quick build, the model has some gaps and imperfections. I must fill them up with Mr. Putty R. The putty will dry for 5 hours. Meanwhile, I will work on the Mirage weapons. I will equip the aircraft with a central fuselage fuel tank, 2 ECM pods, 2 infrared Matra Magics, and 2 Super 530s. Only the ECM pods are from one piece. All other weapons must be put together. There are visible ugly molding lines over all weapons. They must be filled up with putty, sanded down and repaired. And on the fuel tank also. The putty on the fuel tank and aircraft dried out, so I sanded down with a P600 sandpaper. After sanding and cleaning the model surface with a soapy water, I unified the model surface with Mr. Surfacer 1000. Now I highlight all panel lines with a pre-shading technique. This technique is very good for creating shadows on panels. I stay a bit longer with the black paint and spray the radar cone and the small details like wheels. For not overspraying the radar cone with camouflage color, I mask it with Italeri and Tessa masking tape. I decided to paint the Mirage F.1C in the blue-silver camouflage of the Normandy Niemen squadron placed in Colmar main high airbase from year 2009. The lower side of the aircraft is painted in a combination of Mr. Color C218 aluminum and C306 grey colors. The aluminum paint covers the entire pre-shading, so the paint must be highly diluted. After applying and in contact with the paint, the micro glitters tend to peel off. They remain on the fingers and other surfaces. To be sure, I sprayed the aluminum paint with 2 coats of varnish. Before I apply the upper camouflage paint, I mask the aluminum camo with masking tape. To mix the proper blue shade of the camouflage, I use Mr. Color C72 Intermediate Blue, C65 Bright Blue and C306 Grey. To be honest, it was very difficult to mix this shade, but I'm still not 100% sure if it's okay. Next, I paint the landing gear shaft and landing gear, so I need to mask all necessary surfaces. The paint job is finished, and now I seal it with a gloss varnish because it's time to apply decals. The decals from the box are okay, but I had the feeling that the paper underneath would after a short time to dry. I had to work fast, please be aware. After applying, I seal the decals with 2 layers of clear gloss varnish. For weathering, I use the Tamiya's Panel Accent Color Black Wash. The wash dries out after a short period of time. For removing the excessive wash, I use the emerald thinner from Mick Jimenez. I found some nice pictures of weathered Mirages. I want my Mirage to look flown, greasy and dirty, but not too much dirty. So I create the weathered effect with a burnt umber and lamp-like oil paints. First, I apply the oil paints with a thin paintbrush. After that, I smoothly blend the oil paints with the surface of the model. Be careful and patient. When you apply too much paint on a surface, it could create a dark spot. Of course that every part of the model deserves to be weathered, so I create some fuel leaks on the fuel tank. I think the model is weathered enough. Now I apply a final layer of varnish. I use matte varnishes like Mr. Color GX114 Super Soft Matte. The varnish must be diluted in a 1:4 ratio to leavening thinner. Now I can finally remove the cockpit canopy masking. I hope everything is okay. The build is slowly coming to its end. Before the final assembly, I must work on the air-to-air missiles and ECM pods. First, I must sand down the putty on the molds and paint them. Next, I mask the Super 530's radar cone with masking tape and paint it with the right color. I rather mask the whole missile so I won't deal with no overspread areas. Now I seal the paint job with a layer of varnish and I apply the waterslide decals. To seal the decals, I once again apply another layer of clear varnish. And for highlighting all panels, I wash the weapons with Tamiya's Accent Color Black Wash. The weapons are finished. Now I can start to assemble the model together. As always, I began with gluing the landing gear and landing gear bay colors. For a stronger bond, I use super glue. Now I glue the big center fuel tank and the mid-range Super 530 air-to-air missiles on its hardpoints and glue it to the fuselage and wings. Next, I continued to glue the barracks electronic countermeasure pods and the short-range infrared Matra Magic 2 missiles. The last step of the assembly is to glue the horizontal stabilizers and the cockpit canopy. And it's finally done! This Mirage F.1C build was really a relaxing one and was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed the build as much as I did. Please subscribe to my channel, like or leave a comment down below. If you are interested to see more of my work, join me on Facebook or Instagram. There's a link in the description. Thank you for watching and see you next time.